The Tatas have always been known to be innovative with their abilities to spot new problems, identify gaps, create markets, and capitalize on the white spaces, winning immense trust along the way. No wonder this trust powerhouse today comprises 30 companies across 10 verticals, all of them juggernauts in their respective industries. In fact, it is this ability of the Tatas that had Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala forever bullish on the Tata Group companies. In fact, one of the first big calls was Titan, which he held through a thick and thin and reaped a bounty. You'd be surprised to know that such was his conviction in this company that he was accumulating Titan shares in huge numbers back then, so much so that he had become the largest single individual shareholder, leaving Ratan Tata and other Tata directors far behind. Cut to today, and who can't agree that his conviction played out so very well? With his own 5.1% stake currently worth upwards of 11,000 crores, Titan has made huge wealth for its shareholders, generating over 60,000% in all-time returns. It has emerged as India's most respected lifestyle companies, with its brands enjoying leadership positions across industries like jewelry, watches, eyewear, perfumes, and saris, with over 1,800 stores pan-India. What's more interesting is the story of Titan and all that it did to reach where it is today. So let's take a deep dive into knowing more about it. But before we do that, make sure you subscribe to our channel such that the YouTube algorithm works in our favor. It all started in the 1970s when a project manager of Tata Hotels, Mr. Xerxes Desai, was tasked with the responsibility of finding newer avenues of growth for the Tata Group. What Mr. Desai noticed would change the fortunes of the Tatas forever. He found out that the watch market in India was huge, with everyone, whether man or woman, CEO or carpenter, actually demanding a watch to wear. However, the market was quite unorganized, with just one big player, Hindustan Machine Tools Limited. Such was the monopoly exercised by this public sector company that they manufactured 2/3 of all watches that Indians wore at one time. He also figured out the Indian fascination for foreign-made watches like the Swiss watches. In fact, with a ban on the import of such watches, extensive black markets would operate where people would be willing to pay a premium to access these watches. Clearly, all these factors pointed towards building an Indian high-quality watchmaking company. However, it wasn't as easy as it appears to be. Watchmaking was perceived as a small-scale industry, and India, with a socialistic outlook back then, was not very keen on a big private player like the Tatas entering the market. In response to this, Tatas created an investment company called Q-Star Investments and entered into a joint venture with the Tamil Nadu Industrial Development Corporation. What resulted out of this JV was Titan. Their operations began with a team of experts being sent abroad to study European watch designs and manufacturing techniques. Based on this, they kicked off manufacturing in 1987. However, they needed something to differentiate themselves so that they could have significant customer adoption. Towards this end, they started manufacturing quartz watches as against the conventional mechanical watches that existed back then. In a quartz-based watch, the battery power would create a pulse in the quartz stone which would move the clock. Moreover, given that it was technically superior to a mechanical watch in terms of lesser moving parts, lesser time error, and lower maintenance, it was clearly the future of watchmaking. With favorable regulation in place, within just 2 years into production, Tata captured over 55% of the Indian quartz watch market. While manufacturing was sorted now, distribution was a problem. Big distributors were generally loyal towards HMT. As a response to this, Titan went the direct route, getting hold of retailers, training them, and enabling them in setting Titan watch stores. This had several benefits. The margins claimed by the middlemen were bypassed, which left greater margins for the retailers. Moreover, with proper training, Titan had direct control over delivering a great customer experience. Over the years, the company has become the world's 5th largest and one of the largest watch players in the domestic market. It owns several brands such as Nebula, Titan, Fast Track, and Sonata, with a 7,000 plus strong dealer network. Now, what if I tell you that the watches and wearable segments comprises just 8% of Titan's revenue today? Surprising, right? How come a watch company have just 8% of its revenues coming from there? Well, after the 1990s, Titan was not just a watch company. It entered into eyewear and jewelry segments. In fact, the latter comprises the lion's share of its revenues at over 89% of annual revenues coming from its jewelry brand Tanishq. The story of how Tanishq was born is interesting too. Tata had a failed attempt to take Titan watches to Europe. This, coupled with the 1990 oil shock, forced Titan to sell jewelry abroad so that they could have enough forex to import machine parts. What started as a corporate jugaad or a temporary adjustment soon exposed Titan to a gold mine. The Indian jewelry market was huge. However, they identified dual problems in the India's jewelry market. First, Indians would highly trust their local family jewelers. On most occasions, this trust was misplaced since the latter tried to deceive customers by selling fake, low-quality gold. Second, Indians perceived gold as an investment rather than an accessory. Thus, design was secondary. Tanishq quite methodically proceeded to tackle these issues. First, it introduced a carat meter, an instrument which could actually measure the quality of gold at every Tanishq outlet. Customers could come and have their gold tested. On one hand, it made them aware of the malpractices of local dealers. On the other hand, it acted as a customer acquisition strategy for Tanishq, since it had broken the barrier of trust. It also broke the barrier of cost with its famed Golden Harvest Savings Scheme that could enable lucrative purchases of gold for consumers by depositing an installment amount every month leading up to the given purchase of jewelry. Given a very high lifetime value in the jewelry business, Tanishq was willing to incur a higher customer acquisition cost. It's a result of consistent efforts by Tanishq all these years that it has emerged as the largest jewelry retailer in the country with a strong retail presence of over 580 stores throughout India. It has also diversified into various segments like the Mia collection for the working women, Zoya for premium jewelry, and Carat Lane for online jewelry purchase, cementing its position further. With Titan's several brands enjoying leadership positions across fragmented markets like watches, eyewear, jewelries, and saris, it is expected that Titan would benefit immensely as formalization kicks in. What do you think? Would Titan continue its meteoric rise, or would it succumb to competitive threats? Let us know in the comments below.